See these shoes here? Yonex? It's pretty sad because the most I've used them in the last couple of months was to actually just walk indoors because I didn't have any other indoor shoes, and I put my old orthotics in them. And most of the time when I was standing with them and not sitting, it was to listen to people, let's just say, whose minds had not stabilized into adulthood or into, an Homo sapien operating system. And I was doing them a favor participating in their little circle, but I mean, they thought I was a lost soul because I wouldn't devolve myself at their levels. So it's pretty sad because these shoes actually in Quebec there at a store that a buddy of mine used to own, they wouldn't bring them down in price. They were the last ones, and then I waited a long time to get them on sale. And when I got them on sale, it was a small sale. And then eventually, when I got them, they had flaws. Like the tongue, it just wasn't sewn on properly. I've re-sewn it a few times. And at this place last month, there's a guy that specializes in shoe repair, and he kept saying, I'm going to repair these boots. And he never did it. And of course, he thinks he's going to the kingdom of his God, and he's a very dysfunctional French-speaking person who broke up a lot of families because of his manipulative ego that thinks he's right about everything and always links it back to the supernatural, so you can't argue with him. So, a person near the end of his life at an older age who never grew up to be human, but who claims that he's the best, like every other religious group, than any other religious group, and therefore will be the one sitting on the side of their God in his kingdom. And it's like, I have to say, eternity, I don't know if you realize how long a time that is, but I'm not going there to be stuck in these kind of conversations with people that are unable to develop the skill sets to earn my trust, much less the motivation to do it. So it's pretty sad. Anyways, this is Master of Science and Ecocentric Worldview. I continue my reading, again, with an ecocentric worldview linked to reality, to the natural world. These kind of things I talk about related to the magical paradigms of money or the supernatural paradigms of religion wouldn't be an issue. So this letter was written about almost 6 years ago. March 2nd, 2017 is when it was delivered to Aggie Wayhill from that program back then that I was in. We're looking at 10 years ago, I think I enlisted into this program. I'm on page 14 now. And remember, I just said last time in 689 from the year 2023 that I was trying to negotiate a closure to my program with the faculty, but I predicted they wouldn't know what to do with this letter. Okay, so page 14 of 26. Oh, by the way, you might be wondering, why is he still, after so long, going after Vancouver Island University or pissed off with this or whatever? By the way, I've moved on with my life, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to still try, if I can afford it, to take them to court. But the thing is these post-secondary institutions didn't just harm me. They have harmed and they continue to harm others. And the harm is ongoing in my life. There's many ways that if anybody dares putting a comment, hey, Martin, can you explain how Vancouver Island University still has a negative impact on you? Or can you explain how Selkirk College has an impact on you currently? Or North Island College? And these are two that North Island College, I haven't even really started yet. And I was there a short time, but I have data as an independent scientist from both being a student union representative, and staff status, and had teachers talk to me quite a bit. So I can tell you, and again, I'm not saying this is only in Canada. And Selkirk College, I just miss badminton. I need exercise in my life. And again, they avoided answering emails this week. So what I've decided, Selkirk College, is my next step to talk about you is the real reasons why that new president was chosen by the people that choose this stuff. There's a particular personality pattern that they wanted so that the status quo would continue and therefore hide their shame. So I have negative impacts on all of these three right now. North Island College I should be in a profession that I'm happy with. But when I saw how dysfunctional and how inadequate the education was there, I didn't end up continuing there either, except I didn't waste as much time as I did with Vancouver University. I learned my lesson. Red flags are red flags and they're powerful. And yet I'm not working in ways that would have benefited you and me because, hey, I have to be, hey, no. That is not okay. That is not okay for your kids, for people that think they're getting an education. It's not okay for the human condition. I continue. And again, like if any of these post-secondary institutions would make a genuine attempt, transparently, to repair things, not only with me, but that I can tell will have culture repairing aspects, hey, I'll be off their backs. But again, I don't make a good victim. So I will continue making that very clear, especially as I am continuing to suffer the negative effects of their ongoing choices. Again, based on the various unreturned phone calls and emails, visits, and inaccurate logs on my student profile, I suspect your culture is not ready to truly apply innovative thinking in its approach to education, particularly in my case, partly because I am already very far beyond your existing paradigms. Speaking of innovation, be aware that this letter does not explain that. When your faculty spoke of the concept of innovation, they were not really talking about true innovation. This letter would have been another half dozen pages if that had been included. The program began with beautiful and mesmerizing fireworks, only to degenerate to mere sound and fury, signifying nothing. At times, we began projects with stakeholders that were then abandoned. I found myself embarrassed having to explain where the data they generously provided, because of the trust I built with them, would be published. And that would have been of benefit to their business, most likely. And then, my teachers move on to the next thing without finishing this because, they can find more elitist rewards somewhere else while using us. And by the way, one of the ways I explained that innovation was improperly understood is based on the capitalist business world that they were promoting. For example, if something new comes out and it's not better than what was already there, it just looks different, and there's rhetoric that makes us think this is new age, this is new technology, this is new idea, this is a paradigm shift for something better, when it doesn't work better for what it's supposed to, or it breaks down more, that's not innovation. It's the fake image of innovation brought about by the capitalist nature of our markets. And it's made to get more money and less things recycled and thrown in the garbage as they break from the consumer. That's not innovation. I mean, it is for people that are okay to keep destroying the planet because they've got a lot of people hooked on consumerism. But it's not innovation. Again, applying the logic of sustainability, which must consider the future. I think that was beyond my teacher's ability to challenge in the status quo, right? They don't challenge status quo. That's what, real scientists do, by the way, not raconteurism teachers who enjoy their elitism. Adding more to this letter would have made your faculty apply its very popular technique of skimming documents they read, thus ensuring my prediction of its response would more likely come to pass. I apologize for digressing through some bitterness, but please understand that it is bitterness that I argue is justified and quite normal to experience on my part. Let me now conclude with the following 2 paragraphs for those who have read this far. Page 15 of 26, I say this. Indications from both my first and second thesis supervisors led to my growing certainty that if I attempted to complete my thesis in the world of academia, it would take me away from having positive and productive impacts on my world, only to create a document that would be lost and forgotten in the annals of academic paradigm stagnation, as well as the way in which people respond to free thinkers like myself is consistent. Having an MA or even a PhD after my name would make them no less likely to want to turn their backs to me, no doubt due to their afflictions. From HSD. Should you wish to discuss this, I am available. However, please do so only with genuine interest. I also encourage you to ask me what I have been doing with my personal research to see if you might find a way to warrant bestowing the equivalency of your thesis course for my self-guided work, which includes personal published material as well as some upcoming collaborations and YouTube videos. Otherwise, I would have to consider your program an unproductive endeavor that may require a review to justify the time, emotional investment, and financial expenses I have incurred. When someone asks me what my MA program was about, and to explain how it relates to employment and education, ecology, and equal rights to all living things that I'd be talking about, more useful pillars of sustainable thinking, I don't know what to say. I wish I could say what I said on page 9 of this letter, but I can't in good conscience state something that I feel is untrue. Is that a fault of mine or of the program? Perhaps you can answer that and allow me to help you if you are ready for more direct and accountable critical feedback with which real positive change could occur. I do suspect that an independent researcher interviewing your past and present graduates, as well as your own faculty, would find results demonstrating the shortcomings and inconsistencies I have outlined here to define your program. Good intentions, perhaps, but without the structure of a critical thinker who walks the talk. I await your response and remind you that on a finite planet, the truth always comes back to bite you in the wallet. From a culture repair who does care about and misses you all. And I sign my name, and at the end I put HUD, Doctor of Humanics. Ecocentric Humanist is something I also mentioned will be Appendix 4. And then I wanted to CC it to the British Columbia Federation of Students, but I think I CC'd it to a different student union organization. And I did send it to the World Leisure Organization, who are, well, I don't know how much VIU got to them, but I tell you, none of them responded at all or in a way that shows any form of intelligence in that organization. So I can tell you that. And then page 17 begins Appendix 1, which I will start reading with next time. I wanted to say about the past president Ralph, who had an entire career really doing harm, really, to the concept of post-secondary educations. And again, it's like Selkirk College. I mean, the people that guide the flow of their devolving culture there as well, they can write article that the local paper will publish and say, our past president did this, achieved all this. But all of it was to grow more or less financially while benefiting from it as much as possible themselves, something. So the president, Ralph, that may have, played a part in turning Malaspina University College into Vancouver Island University and gotten money to build more buildings and expand campuses, is he was never, he was selling the illusion of big, and he was getting that money from people that want to direct, the thinking, the narrative of many programs, such as Stephen Harper. And, it wasn't about science or post-secondary education or progress in the human condition. It was about bigger is better, but quantity before quality. And again, that has nothing to do with sustainability or sentience and sapience. So again, that guy had an entire career and retired. And, I'm not even sure he knows how much harm he's done. I mean, he knows he got away with things, Ralph, but that was his goal the whole time. And for him, he's a success because he surrounds himself with people who evaluate what he did as success. So again, even if they are the majority, if the teachers I had might not choose to have the courage to be part of the minority and say, hey, I challenge, your way of life or your values or or so-called pursuits or goals or ethics or definitions of things, because I'm quite convinced I can make arguments that this will lead us to further devolution as a proto-society, then of course it's hard to respect people like that. And that is the majority of people that have PhDs, right? It's very rare. Now, I've got many pages left to read for this one, but they will be separate from the letter. They'll be the appendix. I don't know if you have to say appendixes. I'm going to figure that out and let you know next time. And but also I'm going to read the draft of my thesis introduction, because in there it was important for me to talk about the kind of scientists who walk the talk, so as to send that message. And again, the feedback I got from my thesis supervisors with this shows, yeah, I'm not even sure they would want to read the entire thing if, it's way beyond their heads. First of all, it's scientific. And as much as they claim to be experts in sustainability, they'd like sustainability to not be part of the sciences. So it's, yeah, good luck with that. So one of the ways is, I'm still upset with Vancouver Island University, is they screwed up my career path that I had charted for myself, but they also are in line with not apologizing or saying we did you wrong. And therefore, while Canada has deleted my student loans, British Columbia, to the last of my knowledge, did not. They still want me to repay things where really I should take them to court if I could afford it in BC, except it's blocked in a lot of ways. The little people can't really take the big people to court in BC. It's surprising. And but I'm still going to work on that and do some transparent vlogs about it. But you might think, Martin, you're so confrontational. Do you know how much data I can show you that I start with being collaborative and cooperative? And it's the choices of people that influence proto-societies more than me, that would like to help them evolve, that make the choices that I suddenly become more confrontational. But it's not like I can't demonstrate the evidence that it didn't start like that I wanted to help. Such as the letter that I wrote to the Ministry of Advanced Education, where if I would have been a public servant getting a letter like that, which probably they never get, I would have given an answer that was very different from what I got. And it's because I would have cared about a proto-society evolving, whether I had kids or not. It's just what sentience and sapience leads you to do.